Good morning, Your Honor. This is the case of the People versus Dexter, and we are trying matters pertaining to bowel movements in inappropriate places. Your Honor, just for the record, I'm going to ask the witnesses to state their name and swear under oath to be truthful in today's hearing. My first witness I'm going to call is the owner of the dogs, Linda Carlone. Linda, can you please state your name for the record?
Linda Carlone, owner of canines. Dexter, Puppy, Gabby.
And can you please raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Your Honor, I understand that we're dealing with dogs and they can't speak, and therefore I'd just like you to envision them with their right paw up, and they are indeed taking their oath as well. Now,
it's circumstantial.
Objection. Your Honor, can you please, the witness is out of control, and I would ask that this court consider contempt should this happen, this outburst happen again. Now, on or about August 6th, as early as 8 a.m., the exit door, which I'd like to take the jury over for purposes of visual effect, there's an exit door that completely allows for the usage of the yard to take care of their bowel movements. Now, we have 3 canines in the home. The first one is Dexter, and as you can see, there's a little guilt all over his face. But I'm not going to prejudge, Your Honor, because that would be unfair. I would like the jury to make a clean, objective decision here. And then we have the owner, who is what I consider ass-kissing of her other canines. And we've got, and she's reading the book, The Dog Whisperer. Yeah, I think she's also someone that needs to be put on notice as to collusion with the events that took place today. Then we have Puppy, who his bowel movements, Your Honor, are not even remotely sizable as compared to the specimen found this morning and what brings us here today. And then we have Gabby, who could barely make her way across the room. And indeed, it has been witnessed by prior visitors that Gabby indeed has made bowel movements in the home. And they are substantially different in context and texture. And they 100%, if not always, and I shall take the jury over to the place, end up on what we call the wee-wee pad location. So, back to the issue at hand. This morning, we were up in our usual customary way. It was 6:48 a.m., whereupon the dogs were released to take care of their said bowel movements and or urination practices, which, as I've already told the court, they are provided with a door exit for doing so. Your Honor, their aunt, who sits in this area, which is the office area, and works on her computer, typically in her 20-minute zone, and certainly not happy to find any bowel movements that might be in the home, literally turned around and found what was known to be 3 large nuggets of poo-poo specimen, with which, having considered all 3 of the suspects, became clear and known that in fact it was Dexter Carlone who in fact committed the crime. And here's why I'd like the jury to consider the fact that this is true and this is undisputable. Number 1, Dexter has bipolar. I would like the jury not to consider this from a heartfelt standpoint. I too suffer from the same. However,
Objection, Your Honor. We'd like special ADA rights for Dexter in the courtroom.
objection denied. Pursuant to the rules of American Disabilities Act, you are required to submit your request for accommodations 7 days prior to any hearing or jury.
I have them
Objection,
now.
Your Honor.
I have them outside.
Your Honor, I would ask this court to control the witness. I would ask this court to control the witness. Sustained. One more word out of you, Carlo, and you're going to take away by the bailiff. Okay. So back to Dexter, who again looks more guilty than he did prior to this showing. I've asked Dexter, was this the work of you? And Dexy normally, in his bipolar manic state, would run up and shuffle around this home as if it were Cartwheel City. And he'd come over and lick his fellow owner as well as his aunt and others that might be in the room. I've seen him do it with strangers, jurors. I want you to really consider the love of a manic, bipolar Dexy. And I shall zero in so you get my feel. As you can see right now, there's nothing manic about Dexy. And would you like to know why, jurors? Because Dexy has committed the ultimate crime. He has released his bowels during a time with which he had full and complete untethered access to the location with which he's supposed to take those bowels. Now, of course, his aunt, who lives among the folks, is responsible to turn around and has two choices. One, she can smush the bowels between her toes, which is very unpleasant, or she would be forced to pick up the bowels, with which in this case, as you can see, they have been removed, ended up on this small ramp, which I will get to, by the way, how we determined which of the offenders it was, what suspects we had zeroed in on, and had to clean up the bowel this morning. Now, Your Honor, this would not be a problem, generally speaking. Perhaps the dog wasn't feeling well. Perhaps his brothers and sisters encouraged him. None of these cases are true. In fact, Dexy had full access, untethered, to the outdoor area with which he has been advised, he has been told under no uncertain terms that is his only place where he is allowed to take his quote-unquote business.
Objection, Your Honor. There's an indoor wee-wee pad.
Sustained. All right, Your Honor, I'd like to address that. What Ms. Colon is referring to is that we do have facilities in the home that provide for bowel movements and or wee-wee pads, known as wee-wee pads, and we change them periodically. Your Honor, I'd like the juries to understand that those indoor facilities are restricted to use, again, when there is no ability to go into the outdoor area, with which is the default area for the dogs to make wee-wee and do-do. So as you can see, here's another wee-wee pad. It's very clean. Why, Your Honor? Because the dogs understand the rules, but except for one. And that is who is on trial today, Dexter Carlone. Now, Dexter has chosen not to testify today. And I would just like to say, Your Honor, there's one more thing to consider. And here's how we know, under no uncertain terms, and jury, you will find that there is beyond a reason. There is no doubt.
Objection, Your Honor. We can't bring up prior incidents.
I'll rephrase that, Your Honor. I will rephrase that. Excuse me. I would just like the jury to understand one thing. These animals have distinct differences in personality, energy, capability, and they are easy to predict. In fact, is factual evidence that proves that Gabby, the female of the three, has absolutely no capacity to jump high. Hence, the ramp that we spoke about earlier is installed for that purpose. Gabby not only has the inability to do jumping jacks, unlike Dexy, but we had to provide a ramp for said Gabby so that she can make it up to her eating area on a daily basis. Your Honor, as sad as it is, Gabby suffers from a mild case of arthritis. And we are addressing that arthritic issue. Now, Puppy is, shall we say, for lack of a better term, Puppy's a popper. Puppy hops around like a little jumping jack, and there he is with his mama. Puppy is too small to engage in large bowel movements. Your Honor, I would have saved the specimen for the jury to look at, but as you can imagine, it's unpleasant. And in order to conduct this trial today, I did not want to offend the juries with the smell of said bowel movement. So I'm going to ask this court And I believe that the defendant is going to stipulate to the size of the bowel movements that were provided, that only one, in fact, could provide such bowel movement texture and size, and that would be the one said Dexter who's on trial today. Now, George, you have one job to do and one job only. It is beyond a shadow of a doubt. We have done a process of elimination here. And Dexter, indeed, is guilty of violating the New York rules of the colon procedure, with which provide for the animals to leave again in their untethered door, where the poo-poo and the pee-pee shall take care of their business in the outdoor area while the weather is good, Your Honor, I might add. And I have one more thing for the jury, and I shall have to provide a closing argument, and we will move on. Dexter, our bipolar friend, which, by the way, he's a peer, so please understand there is no prejudice here.